Welcome to the Good Morning from the Chicken Coop podcast with Kim Johnson, your creative strategist and master mindset coach. Filled with inspiration, distinctions, perspectives, and possibilities, we help you to cultivate a mindset that leads you to create the best version of yourself you could ever imagine. Join Kim every morning from one of her favorite happy places, her chicken coop, along with all her chickens.
Hey everybody, good morning from the chicken coop. Today I want to talk to you about triggers, and it's kind of an offshoot of yesterday's podcast where we were talking about words and what they mean to us. Triggers are a very important part of personal development, self-development, because they're like little landmines. Just think of them like little landmines that are all over us, and we carry these wherever we go. And it's almost like we look for reasons to be offended, and then something pops off, and before you know it, you're responding in a way that you didn't even realize was going to happen, and it just fired off. Little landmines, if you will. And we refer to them as triggers. I love, Dr. Wayne Dyer, and I've mentioned this before on another podcast, where one of my favorite phrases that he ever used was, "It's not their fault for pushing your buttons, it's your fault for having the buttons they push." And the first time I heard that, I was so pissed off because it's so true, and I had bunches of triggers. I had a full-blown panel with red and yellow flashing lights at that time in my life, and I was always looking to blame someone else for the fact that those lights were being lit up and I was having triggers pushed. And the truth is, it was my fault for having all the buttons. If I'm not offendable, if you will, if I cannot be offended, then nobody has control over me. And this is what the weird thing is about triggers. You are allowing yourself to be controlled. When you have triggers, you are allowing yourself to be controlled by somebody else. Gandhi said, "I refuse to allow others to walk through my mind with their dirty feet." And what he meant by that was, you come into contact with someone who gives you feedback or gives you information that's contrary to your liking or your information, and all of a sudden worlds clash and you become offended or upset, angry, saddened, whatever the word might be, whatever the emotion might be, and that person has just walked through your mind with their dirty feet. We've all been in the situation where we've gotten into an argument with somebody, or we've had a disagreement with somebody, and we walk away from that, and it ruminates with us for days and days and days, and we think about, I should have said this, I should have said this, I could have done this, blah, 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 and we go into such a state of despair over it often because we wish we could undo the situation and go back and fix it and sound better and say something better, or not allow our face to get red, because so many of us, when we get upset, our face will get red and our voice will crack because the emotion is so built up. Well, those are all triggers that have been stepped on. And then the worst part is, once those triggers go off, they keep going off for days on end. So the person who basically threw that hand grenade at you and blew you up walked away, and they're not even thinking about you anymore, and yet here you are walking around pushing your own buttons, having all your triggers go off again, and they're not even thinking about you, but you've suffered days you have suffered because your triggers went off, and they were able to keep just worming their way through your mind. Really, that's what it comes down to, pushing your buttons, creating wormholes throughout your brain. And the sad part is, we have absolute control over this, and we can choose to turn that off, but we have to be conscious of it to do it. We must be conscious of it to fix it. And we have to make the choice to say, I no longer allow this person to have the right to come into my brain and do damage, because that's what they're doing. They're doing damage, and only because you allowed them on. If you've read my bus book, that particular book, Who's Driving Your Bus, I talk about the fact that you can change the drivers. But I joke around when I ever go out and speak about it. I'll say, well, here's the story. Don't let someone come on the bus. You can pull the bus up to the curb, but don't let someone get on your bus. Just like Gandhi, don't let them walk through your mind with their dirty feet. Just don't let them on your bus. I'll choose to let them spew whatever they want, say whatever they want, but you don't have to have the reaction that's long term. You don't have to have that piece of yourself given up to them. And sometimes we feel like we have to fight back. We say, I have to defend myself. Well, do we really? Because these people hold no ability over you. These people hold no ability over you other than the one you give them. So you really have to consider the fact that there are options to walk away from it. They might not be options you want to take. They might not be options that you want to entertain, but you do have options. Most of us that are hearing this have options, and we get to make the decisions about what things mean to us. That is the power of free will. That's what we've been given by God in this universe. We have the power of free will. So I'm going to challenge you today to start thinking about this piece and looking at your triggers, and starting the process of eliminating them is by exposing them and understanding when they go off so that you can stop them from going off. So if you have to make a list of them, what are the things that irritate you? What are the things that are your buttons? However you like to do it, start the process of identifying those triggers and then make better choices in the moment, because that's how you break it down, moment to moment choices. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.